Welcome back to the Bluegrass Breakdown radio show. We're here. John Hancock here, Tyler Bloyd to my right, the best producer in the world, Matt McCarthy. And we have Danielle Chilton over there. We also have UK great Cameron Mills. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fine, guys. And you all?
Doing well, doing well.
Doing pretty good tonight, Cameron. How are you doing?
Good. Doing great. I'm actually down in North Carolina getting ready to pick up a brand new puppy tomorrow morning.
Oh, nice. Nice.
So, yeah.
I think you just about gave Danielle a heart attack.
Family.
Oh, what kind of puppy is it? What kind of puppy is it?
Wait a minute. You all didn't say there was a female.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, sorry, Cameron.
Danielle, but when you all did your introductions earlier, just John and Tyler. There wasn't a Danielle. There wasn't a.
Sometimes she doesn't talk, Cameron, so I apologize.
It's Danielle. It's a golden retriever. I've had goldens my whole life, and had to put my golden of 13 years down. He was my first. I want to say my 23rd birthday present from my parents, and I had to put him down a couple months ago, and wasn't sure how long it would take for me to be ready for another one, and it turns out about a month or so. And so I started doing some research and found a really great breeder down here just outside of Charlotte.
Yeah, I would totally agree with golden retrievers are the best. I had one my whole childhood. Named it Jordan after Michael Jordan back in the day.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was one of the best dogs ever. I will agree with that one.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to meeting him tomorrow. I've just seen pictures of him and not spent any time with him, so we pick him up tomorrow, so I'm excited.
Well, excellent. Well, let's talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, we'll go ahead and ask you, what do you think about this year's UK team? What's impressed you?
That's a seamless transition there, John, from puppies to UK basketball.
I apologize. I do my best.
You know, well, yeah, I didn't give you much choice, did I? You know what? Look, they're the number one ranked team in the country. I think there's two things that concern me, though. Watching this team play, I guess two big things. Number one, if you go back and watch the Indiana game, we are a different team when Anthony Davis goes out with foul trouble. The only player that acted like or looked like he was still in the game and ready to play was Kid Gilchrist, who, Kid Gilchrist has probably been the most consistent player we've had all year. I think he maybe has only had one kind of game where, he just didn't have it. And, throughout the course of the season, your best players are going to have 2 or 3 games like that. So, but when Anthony Davis went out in that Indiana game, we looked like we didn't know what we were doing. All of a sudden, the lane was not clogged up anymore. We didn't have that shot blocking presence. And so we looked like we just weren't ready to play for that span while he was out. He comes back in. We're able to make our run and make a game of it until that last second shot by Indiana. The other thing, and it kind of goes hand in hand with that, is we're just not very deep. You start getting into our 6, really our 6, because we've got really 6 starters. Any one of them can rotate in and start a game. But when you get to 7 and 8, you're talking about Eloy Vargas, you're talking about Wilcher, and neither one of those guys has stepped up. Now, I have to remind myself constantly that Wilcher is a freshman. Vargas is, I believe, a sophomore. This is a different college basketball than I was a part of. I had, I had 4 years to become the best player I could, and it took 4 years. I had 2.5, let's say, for me to get to the point where I was ready to compete in a Division I college basketball game, where I was ready to go in and not, make a fool of myself. We're asking these guys to do it immediately. And, it is what it is. It's the way it is right now. It's not fair, but you know what? They've got to come in and be ready to play. But I think those are my 2 concerns, that Anthony Davis can't get in foul trouble. We need him in the game, just to clog up that middle and be the great shot blocker he is. And, we just don't go very deep. We go about 6 deep, and that's about it right now.
Yeah, I will totally agree with you on the Davis, what you were saying about him. In the Indiana game, and I look at the Louisville game as well. He went out, I believe, at the end of the first half, and Kentucky was up 13 or 14, and that's when Louisville cut it to 1 possession game. So I will say that he has got to be in my mind the most. I'd say he affects the game better than anybody in the country.
Yeah, and I think that's the right way to put it. He affects the game. Kid Gilchrist comes in and can do everything. He can score. He can rebound. As a matter of fact, if you go back and watch the Indiana game, if it wasn't for Kid Gilchrist, just tearing up the boards in that stretch when Davis was out, and we lose that game by 10 or 12. Davis affects the game, and I think that's exactly the right way to put it. Because even if he doesn't block your shot, he's going to alter your shot. And if he doesn't alter your shot, you know he's back there. When you turn around in that lane, you know you're going to be sparing in a hand that maybe you get it off over him. But, you've got to at least be thinking about how you're going to do it. And just that split second of a thought can affect your shot sometimes.
Now, and what you're saying, you played from 94 to 98. You got those, like you said, 2.5, 3 years to get you game ready, to get you ready for this college game. And these guys are coming in straight out of high school and playing. We had Derek Anderson on 2 weeks ago, and we asked him a question about, little comparison. And he said that these guys would be a, second, third stringers for you all when 96, 97, 98 team. Just because of the aspect of they.
I will tell you this. I will defer to Derek on that one, because I'll tell you the one thing I've learned about myself is I am not a great evaluator of talent. I think the hardest things that college coaches do, whether it's basketball, football, anything, is look at a high school kid and say, yeah, he can make it on the next level. The guys in the NBA that have to deal with this draft every year. The hardest thing I think they have to do is, this kid can play at the next level. I don't know how they do it, because the only one in the last 20, 30 years that I've been right about, that I just knew beyond a shadow of a doubt, this kid, of course I say kid, he was older than me at the time, is going to make it, is the guy named Shaquille O'Neal. I just don't think there was any doubt that he was going to be a pro player. But everyone else, I just look at him and I just don't know. So if Derek says that these guys would be third stringers on our team, then that's fine. That means they would have been on the bench with me. So you know what? It'd been nice to find it.
Yeah. Hey, you had a fun bench there. I mean, not that you didn't anyways, but again, we have Cameron Mills on.
We had Muhammad Ali on our bench during one game. So really? we did have a fun bench.
What game? Do you remember what game that was?
You know what? I don't. I just remember at one point in the game, Jeff Shepard getting cold cocked by an elbow and kind of getting a little bit of a black eye, and he immediately went over and sat down beside Muhammad Ali. And you just kind of got this funny picture of the two of them talking about, I've been getting the face before.
Yeah, exactly. Real quick, this does kind of bring it up. Did you dunk on Jeff Shepard? I saw your little Twitter conversation with Derek Anderson.
I did, actually. Yeah. Oh, did you not follow that?
Yeah, I've been following it since last night. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Jeff hates it when I bring this up, because look, it was the only time it ever happened in my 4 years at UK. It was at the Seton Center during one of our pickup games in the summer. We've got during off season we were still on campus taking classes during 8-week. Some of us took 4-week classes in May, and we would play. And the reason we were taking classes, other than to stay ahead or to catch up for some of us academically, is we were there on campus and we got to play. It's one of the things that's so difficult right now for us. And guys, remind me to get back to the story, because I definitely want to tell that story. But these guys now, they don't ever get to play a lot together. The way Coach Cal recruits, and look, I'm not complaining about the way he recruits. I love it. But the way he recruits is, these guys are one and done, and everybody knows that, and everyone knows that's the way Coach Calipari is. He gets the best talent in the country. They come in, they're in for a year, and they're gone. Well, it is tough to form camaraderie and to become a true team. The guys that I played with, I was with them at Wildcat Lodge and in the training room and in practice and on the planes, for 2 years, 3 years. And every summer we play pickup games, and we play every night. Well, I say every night, 5 nights a week. We take off on the weekend, but 4 or 5 nights a week we would play. I don't know, 7, 8, 9 pickup games. And the last one would always be the longest, because we knew it had to do with our conditioning. But so anyway, back to the story. We're at the Seton Center. I think it was right before my senior year, Jeff's senior year, because he had redshirted that year. So he was coming back to playing again. And there was one goal, and I think there was a cheerleading camp or something going on one part of Seton Center. So we were relegated to this one court. But the goal on this one side was 2 inches low. Instead of 10 foot, it was 9 foot 10. And we're coming down to the last game points coming up. And I can't imagine I stole the ball, but either way, I wound up on a fast break, just me and Jeff. Jeff was the defender coming down the other side of the lane. I was coming down the right-hand side. And, when you see someone who's got the hops that Shep has, you see them get ready to they start timing their steps. And I saw Jeff start timing his steps to go up and pitch my layup, because he knew it was coming and I knew it was coming. And so I went up as hard as I could, and just at the last minute, just stuffed it down as quickly as I could. It wound up being the point that won us the game. And I think I just to play a little theater, I don't even think I reacted. I think I dunked it. I walked off the court that won us the game. But I have never let Shep forget about that moment.
Oh yeah, I had to bring that up. I know you probably want to explain everything.
If you guys followed on Twitter last night, I had to justify and prove to people that it actually happened.
Oh yeah, I was watching the whole conversation,
and no one believes it happened. Listen, I understand why they don't believe it happened. I'm telling you, it happened.
it's kind of like
one time it was.
It's kind of like LeBron getting dunked on. It happened, but it didn't happen.
yeah, that's right. That video of that during that summer league game.
Joe Crawford's
brother.
That's
right. But it did happen.
It did happen. Now, you said about Cal Poly's getting all these one and done guys. Obviously, Terrence Jones and Doran Lamb both stayed. Do you see anybody from this year's freshman class sticking around? Marcus Teague, the way he's been playing, he's playing good as of late. I have no problems with it. Could he stay? Could maybe Gilchrist stay in just because he loves basketball?
Well, look, I think any of them could stay because they love basketball. But I think at this point, there are a lot of people that don't like the idea of the one-and-done player. I don't like it just because I want these guys to stick around. You get just talent sticking around for 2 or 3 years, and, you're hanging banners every year, if not every other year. But what I understand is these guys aren't coming to Kentucky. As much as we want them to be coming to Kentucky for an education, that's not why they're coming. They're coming for their career, and their career involves basketball. And they're going to make a lot of money if they, keep their nose clean while they're in college, while they're in high school, do the things their coaches tell them, improve where they need to improve. You know what? Even if it only takes a year because they're so talented, they're going to make a lot of money in the NBA. And ultimately, that's what we want for them. We want them to come here, and ultimately live out their dreams by playing basketball at Kentucky and then in the NBA. So I don't know from this squad who could stay. I think Anthony Davis could stay. I don't think he will because I think right now he's being seen as the number 1 overall draft pick. But you know what? You just never know. Sometimes you get a kid that says, my education is the most important thing. I want to get my degree. We haven't had one of those yet since Cal's been here. But you know what? We could, and that'll make a big difference.
I'm just happy to have him for a year. It's fine with me.
So Cameron,
listen, when you get these guys for a year and you're ranked number 1 coming in, a couple of times during the season, and you got a chance to go to Final Four, and you got a chance to win the national championship every year. That's ultimately what UK fans want. They want to hang banners. They want national championships. So if this talent lets us do that, then great. That's what we want.
And that's exactly why you chose Kentucky instead of Georgia.
Well, among many things, yeah. But yeah, that was, that was when I got asked, Georgia was putting pressure on me my senior year, right before my senior basketball season in high school. They wanted me to sign with them, a full ride, SEC, high Division I scholarship. And, but I grew up in Kentucky, and when you grow up in Kentucky, there aren't any other basketball teams. There aren't, there just isn't. And if you can play at Kentucky, even if you're not guaranteed anything, and none of these guys are guaranteed anything, why wouldn't you want to play at the highest level? And that's really what happened to me. I wanted to play at the highest level. I wanted to live out my dream, playing at the same school my dad played, wearing the same number my dad wore, practicing on the court when my dad played his games. And then the last part of it, I wasn't dumb. I looked at what Coach Pitino was doing in his first 3 years at the UK. He already got us to a Final Four. He was bringing in the best talent in the country. And you just knew, kind of like almost exactly the way it is right now. You just know before long, we're going to have a team that clicks. Maybe it's this year, and we win a national championship. And I wanted to be a part of that national championship. And it turns out I was able to be a part of 2 of it.
Yeah, Cameron, you did, Pitino recruiting and everything. Tyler over here, he thinks that Pitino's washed up.
No, I don't. I love Pitino. I just don't like Louisville.
He thinks that, he just thinks that he's his style of basketball can't work now. What do you think? What do you think of what Pitino's doing at Louisville now? Do you think that that kind of style doesn't work anymore?
I don't know why it wouldn't. And I don't. But I'll be honest. I don't know. How do you define his style against what Coach Cal plays? I mean, look, Coach Pitino's not playing up and down 40 minutes, press for 40 minutes. It's not the days of the Pitino Bambinos that it was in the early 90s. But the thing that started the Twitter back and forth last night with BA between he and I was that I was watching Louisville and Villanova play, and there was a couple of close-ups of Coach Pitino talking to his players, and I just kind of, had this moment where I thought back to the many times when I'd say he talked to me. The truth of the matter is he yelled at me. But anyway, but he coached me. And, I just got back, and the thing that I thought was, I love watching him coach because he doesn't miss a thing. And I cannot describe to you all the practices that we had where he would watch a simple down screen, pop, throw the ball to the wing, go away screen. I mean, just basic basketball. He would watch that, and he would find in that one simple play, 3 passes, he'd blow the whistle, he'd find 15 things that the offense did wrong, 15 things that the defense did wrong, and be able to communicate it to us in about 15 seconds. And he just doesn't miss anything. He watches the game like no one I've ever been around, and I think that's what you have to have. So whether it's the right style or not, I don't think there's one style that works in, one particular part of, the history of college basketball. I think everybody right now, they use the 3-point line. I think the teams can press and wear you down for 40 minutes, and that's what the press is designed to do. It's not designed to get turnovers in the first 10 minutes of the game. It's designed to get turnovers the last 5 minutes of the game. If you can do that and win games, then I think you're gonna, you'll be successful no matter what era it's in.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. And speaking of the 3-point line, you hit a big shot against Duke in 1998. Everybody already knows. It took the lead 80-79. You guys were down 17 points with 9 minutes to go. I mean, how did you feel after that hit the bottom of the net?
Well, I'll tell you, it's funny you mentioned that. I actually watched a little, I guess, a highlight reel today on YouTube that someone's posted of probably the last, it's sliced up and the commercials are cut out and all that stuff. But it's probably the last 5 minutes of the game, and it starts with my 3. But the thing that I realized today, and I knew this back then, and I guess you just forget about it because anytime anyone wants to talk to me about that game, it's always about, the shot I hit against Duke. But I'll tell you the thing is, and I've said this before, if Wayne Turner doesn't just take over in that second half, and I mean take over. I mean, they could not, it didn't matter if Wojciechowski was guarding him. It didn't matter if William Avery was guarding him. It didn't matter who was guarding him. Wayne was getting to the bucket and getting shots off. And, Hashim Evans hit a couple big threes, but Wayne just took over in that game. And so, you know what? I finally hit the first shot I hit in the tournament. It happened to be a 3, and it happened to get us the lead for the first time in the game. But if Wayne doesn't just absolutely take over that game, then you know what? There's no way we make that comeback.
Now, did you say that was your first shot you hit at the tournament?
That was the first shot in the '97 tournament. I was shooting 63% from the 3-point line. I was the second leading scorer. Now Wayne Turner disputes this. He says he was the second leading scorer on the team during the tournament. I think it was me behind Ron Mercer. But either way, I was either second or third. And so I just kind of all of a sudden, as much as I could, exploded offensively. Well, in '98, I was struggling in the tournament. Even that whole season, I wasn't shooting as well as I had in '97. A lot of that had to do with me kind of resting on my laurels during that summer break in between junior and senior year, and not continuing to work and get better like Alan Edwards and Jeff Shepard did, my fellow seniors. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of the way it happened.
Yeah, the reason I asked you that, we had one of our regular callers, Brother Mac. He thought you hit a shot against, I believe, St. Louis earlier in the tournament, but I guess he was a little wrong on that one.
No, I did not. No, the first shot I hit in that tournament was that shot. As a matter of fact, if you go back and watch the video, I think it's Billy Packer says it's his first shot. They've been waiting on it. I think it's quoted, they've been waiting on it. Cameron Mills is his first shot of the tournament.
That's amazing.
So yeah, that was the first one. I had, we as a team had played great all the way through that tournament, and everybody was scoring but me. And so I finally hit that 3, and that kind of, well, for me it was a relief just because I finally hit one, and then a split second later you kind of realize the gravity of the moment when you think that, well, that just capped a big 17-point comeback.
Yep, exactly.
Well, Cameron, a lot of people want to know maybe what you're doing now, what's going on in your life, past basketball.
Well, I started my ministry the year I was done playing ball. So June 3rd of 1998, I started speaking under the auspice of Cameron Mills Ministries. I'd been speaking before that. I gave my life to Jesus Christ when I was 7 years old. When I was 12 years old, I knew I wanted to be in ministry because, with the exception of my parents and Christ, there were 2 youth pastors who impacted my life in an amazing way. And I knew when I was 12 years old, I wanted to have the same impact on other kids' lives. And so I always thought I'd be a youth pastor, but then I got to UK and I was, open about my faith, and I started getting invitations to speak at a Sunday school class or a youth rally or this, that, and the other. And the more I did it, the more I loved doing it, and the more I get asked to do it. And so I just eventually kind of realized at some point during my career that why don't you just do this? Why don't you just continue to speak? And I had some very wise people around me that got me incorporated, got me a board of directors for some accountability and some coverage, and started speaking June 3rd, 1998, and now it's January 2012, 13 years later, and I'm still speaking. I just got back from Kansas last week, speaking at a big FCA basketball tournament called the Tournament of Champions out in Dodge City, Kansas. We'll be going back to Kansas here in a couple weeks. When March rolls around, actually Final Four weekend, I think I'm going to be back in Kansas speaking. I speak at churches, youth groups, pretty much, wherever I'm asked to go. I will just about always go, as long as I can share Jesus Christ.
Will you be around? We're obviously located in Louisville. Will you be, in Louisville anytime soon? Or
you know what? I don't know. My schedule. I've got a website called CMM Cameron Mills Ministries, CMM21.com. So www.cmm21.com, and my schedule's posted there. My speaking schedule. I'm not sure. I've got an assistant that kind of makes sure I get to where I need to go. So I hardly ever look ahead. She sends me emails saying, "Can you do this? Can you do that?" I'll say yes, and it'll go on my schedule, and I won't think about it until a couple days before I go speak. So I would say I'll be in Louisville before too long. I just don't know if there's anything on the calendar right now.
Well, that sounds good. Well, Cameron, we really appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely.
It's been a great interview. We'll do it again down the road for sure, and maybe UK wins the championship and get you on and talk about that.
Sounds good. Anytime you want me, I'd be happy to.
All right. You have a good night, Cameron.
Thank you, Cameron.
Thanks.
All right, guys. You too.
Well, another excellent interview at the Bluegrass Breakdown.
We
Kill it
every
It was
time.
great. Thanks, Cameron Mills. Danielle, of course, didn't speak again.
She asked about the puppies.
I did.
We want you. You sit in the lounge for a reason, Danielle. You have a microphone to say something occasionally. He was excited to see there was a female in the building.
I
Cameron,
know. I wasn't
That was
even-
my
no,
fault.
I
That was
wasn't
my
feeling
fault. I
very
didn't-
welcome because I wasn't even introduced
That
by
would be
Mr.
the
Soulpatch
co-host. The
So-
co-host. I got you at the beginning of the show.
Well, you got me, but not to him.
I
I
know.
didn't want to intrude.
I know.
But
It's okay.
if you mention a puppy, I gotta say something.
You got to release the puppy.
I gotta say something.
Anyways,
sucker.
We'll be back. We're gonna hit in the final 20 minutes. Obviously, all the UK UVL what's happened in the past week. We'll be right back.